Hey, friends of the World's Faith Traditions class. This is Michael Lovedall coming to you with the report that Janice did really well with her surgery. And she's in resting right now. And I get a chance here to do a little quick overview of chapters 12 and 13, which is your reading for Monday. I'd like to ask you to take some notes on what I have to say here, and then formulate a minimum of one question from this presentation, or anything that you read that I don't cover. Stay out of the garbage, Coco, my girl. You got to get around to using the word dukkha. That all life is dukkha, often translated as suffering. This, of course, is the first of the Four Noble Truths of the Buddha. I have always liked the phrase out of jointedness, where things aren't the way we'd love them to be, and rarely are. And then even when they are, they don't stay that way very long. I like this stuff on attachment. He mentions a connection to our use of addiction on page 117. It's nice stuff. I'm so pleased I'm having you read this book. Just kind of going over some of the things. I know there's... so the basis of attachment, I like the second paragraph. This is page 118. The simplest and most precise answer to this question of what drives our cravings in the first place, well, we misapprehend the nature of the world and of ourselves. Next paragraph. Our misknowledge is the attribution of permanence and substantiality to impermanence. To view a thing as a reality that is, in fact, a process. This might be the right time just to throw in a real quick comment or connection to a Western mode of philosophy, actually known as process philosophy. The philosophical, we'll say, the granddaddy of process philosophy was a man named Alfred North Whitehead. He lived mostly in the 20th century. He died, I don't know, probably in the 1940s or 50s, somewhere in there. And has had a considerable influence, I would say, at least as much in theology as in philosophy, and quite possibly more in theology. Not that he was primarily a theologian, but his ideas were picked up first by a guy that I would consider a philosopher of religion named Charles Hartshorne. And then the leading theologian in the process tradition is a man that just died recently, just short of his 100th birthday, John B. Cobb, C-O-B-B, Jr., a friend of mine, I'm proud to say, and truly a wonderful man, who was one of the first to explore, as a Christian theologian, deeply, deeply shaped by process philosophy, its connections, its real live connections to Buddhist tradition. And he did this often in conversation with a Buddhist philosopher named Masao Abe, M-A-S-A-O-A-B-E, in case you want to write down his name. And in fact, I believe the first time I ever encountered John B. Cobb, Jr., was at a National American Academy of Religion meeting. This is our big whoop-de-doo once a year. It's more than national, it's international now. But Cobb and Abe had probably a 3-hour session, maybe 2-hour session, where they just conversed with one another about these connections and about the Buddhist hesitation about Christian theology and all of this. And I just remembered being deeply impressed by both. by the quality of their conversation and respect for one another, and then especially by John Cobb. I just thought this guy is a consummate Christian scholar and gentleman, kind and humble, gentle spoken, and brilliant all at once. And so he's been a bit of a mentor to me. One of the really beautiful, I know I'm going off topic, one of the really beautiful side effects, great side effects of moving to San Diego was getting within a couple hours drive distance of the Claremont colleges up in the Pomona area. And Cobb was the theologian at Claremont School of Theology, which is a United Methodist seminary in that cluster. They've since just recently moved back into downtown LA, actually where the seminary started long ago. But for all these years since '99, it was just really a wonderful thing that I was able to go up a lot to hear him and others in the process tradition, and often take students. I might even post a picture or two of so you get a look at John Cobb. Just a wonderful man. Well, now, how was I doing this here? Oh, right. So, to view a thing as a reality that is in fact a process. So, actually, a lot of what I've said about the Buddha's ideas about anatta are not that far different from Whitehead's process philosophy, although Whitehead had a specific, we'll say, place or role for God in his philosophical system. I'm not convinced that God ever fits neatly into anybody's philosophical system, but Whitehead pressed on anyway. Let's see. So on that same page 118, a couple things I underlined. With the advent of quantum physics, the Buddha's view of the physical universe seems to be confirmed. Likewise, Whitehead was responding, I'd say first to the evolutionary accounts of, or a theory of Darwin, but also the early returns, we might say, on quantum physics to think about the nature of reality. And then on page 118, a little bit lower, there does seem to be a consensus that the foundational elements of the world are most likely like energy fluctuations than they are like solid, substantial things, which I know can be hard to get our head around. Like this seems like a solid, substantial thing. But it's primarily subatomic particles in dynamic interaction and mostly empty space, which is wild and crazy, right? Not that I'm a quantum physicist in any way. I would say it's nice that on page 121 you have the heading, the 5 aggregates of being, what I called skandhas in class, which would be the Pali term, skandhas. But this is really nice. You have the aggregate of matter, which refers to our and everything else's physical makeup that's physical, changing by the moment as cells die and are replaced. Coco, get out of there. Get. What a booger. She's a booger. I love her so much. Second is sensation or feelings. The third is perception. The fourth, mental formations. And there should be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't even see where he's got the fifth, but, oh, okay. No, aggregate of consciousness. Now, this is actually what I want to talk about, maybe just for a couple minutes. Hence, as long as there is a craving, and we're trying to hang on to something that's not stable and solid and enduring, well, I think we made that point well. As long as there is craving, there will be rebirth. Finally, there is the aggregate of consciousness, which is the process of awareness. This is on page 121. Now, what Musi does is he'll talk several times about rebirth without, as far as, at least so far, without addressing the issue of what it is that's reborn. Again, if you have the doctrine of Anatman or Anatta, there is no soul, we know that, no overall arching solid reality like Atman, but since for the Hindu tradition, at least the Vedantic tradition, Atman is Brahman, but if there is no Atman, there is no Brahman, there is no unchanging essence or soul. So frankly, I'm left to, I still struggle with the doctrine of rebirth because there is no enduring entity like a soul that would like leapfrog from, a dying body into a newly living body, whether human or otherwise. Now, I talked about this in class a little bit when I talked about I would say, the momentum that each moment of our lives helps to generate, remembering that our lives are also dynamic flux, no enduring soul, and thus rebirth doesn't make much sense except in the sense that we in our lives constantly are, because we are a fluctuating and interdependent dynamic flow of, I'm going to say, energy events, which is kind of the process philosophy language, that the most we can say is that our words and deeds as these very temporary human beings that we are, we do create, we send out momentum. Momentum in terms of these five skandhas, or these aggregates of being, as Musi called them. So again, it wouldn't be like, oh, I don't want to be reborn because I'm so tired of it, because there is no I to get tired. There is no self. So really, Buddhism is promoting a selfless, literally selfless view, of course, but also selfless in the sense that even though there is no soul in me that could be reborn, how much consideration will I have for those that are also right now, my contemporaries, but even particularly those who will come after me, and they'll be coming after me in a sense. Well, no, so those who come after me, and I'm bequeathing to the rest of the universe every moment my energies that have resulted from this collection or confluence of energies. And if I'm a grasper, if I'm desire, if I'm clinging, I'm creating more clinginess in the world. And it's got to go somewhere, apparently. And where it goes is to, fluctuating and impermanent human beings that come after me. And if I'm selfless, in a more moral sense, I should care about that, right? I should care about that. What will I be sending out? What am I sending out into this flux of perceptions and thoughts and feelings that people down the road will, in a sense, inherit or be affected by? That's the closest thing to rebirth I can come up with. And I was really counting on Musi to address this. And so far, I just feel like he's sort of, I'm going to just say, mindlessly continued to use the notion of rebirth and the term rebirth without questioning that from, the radically Buddhist perspective. All right, we'll pause there.